Today is all about using the humble cabbage that is in season right now and plentiful and making a really delicious skillet sausage and cabbage dish. It's great for a quick weeknight meal. It's full of flavor, sauteed sausage with onions and garlic, and then you wilt the cabbage all into it, add some seasonings and flavor to make sure it is full of goodness. Your family's gonna be happy, you're gonna be happy. So from my Iowa farmhouse to your house, let's make a good meal. For a really quick meal to use this cabbage that uses sausage, you really just want to use good ingredients because that's what really is going to be the star here. So obviously sausage is key, but also the cabbage is key. Now I'm using my homegrown cabbage. For this one I'm choosing a Savoy because I like that crinkle. I think it holds up well when it's sauteed. I think it really has good structure, but also it's just really pretty. But guess what? You can use any cabbage. As you know, the videos I create are always seasonal, so I'm gonna use what I have, but use whatever you can find easily. Cabbage, you can find really easily year round. So I'm gonna start with a sausage. Now, this is one where if you wanna use a spicy sausage, go for it. Do whatever you love. But what we're gonna do is start by browning the sausage. And what I'm gonna do to it is just break it up as it's browning. You can see this is a ground sausage. If you wanna use sausage in the casing and just remove the casing, that's fine too. But as this is browning, we're gonna get ready some onion and some garlic to throw in with it. When you're working with something like cabbage, on its own, it doesn't have as much flavor. It has a really nice, to me, green flavor, but what you can do to make it a meal is really add a lot to it that, really bumps up the flavor. So what that's starting with is the sausage. Sausage on its own has tons of spices, has some fresh herbs in it, and what we're gonna do is play that up and just enhance what the sausage already has with even more flavor. So you can see I have some onion here. Then I also have some garlic. Now the garlic, it's my homegrown garlic, so it seems like massive cloves, but I always just smash it first. I think that makes it easier. And I'm just gonna chop it up into a somewhat of a mince, but not gonna be perfect. When we're working with weeknight meals that we want to be quick, but flavorful, filling, also economical, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have a perfect dice. You don't have to have a perfect mince. What you have to do is get food on the table, and that's what this is all about. And that's why I love using cabbage. I think we often relegate it just to slaw, coleslaw. You know what though? There's so much more you can do with cabbage, and I think it's so delicious, especially if you can get it in season. Anything in season has more flavor. So what I have here is all my chopped onion and garlic, and I'm gonna take it, I forgot my food paddle to take it over with. I'm gonna take it and just add it to the sausage that is browning, because if you look in here, you're gonna see that there are already oils coming out of and grease from that sausage that's gonna cook in with the onion garlic and just soak all together. While that is just browning and sauteing with all the onion and really sweating it out, we can talk about the cabbage. Now, obviously cabbage comes in all shapes, all sizes. This is a massive head. I had a really good cabbage year this year. Why? I'm not exactly sure, but I really had a good cabbage year with beautiful big heads of cabbage. This is too big for this recipe, so I'm just gonna go ahead and cut it. But that's the thing, cabbage keeps for weeks in the fridge. So when I have lots of cabbage in the garden, I use it for weeks after. Now what you can see is, growing food, and even if you just buy food, look how beautiful that is on the inside. So what I'm gonna do is actually quarter it, because I think it's easier to work with in quarters. But we're using about half of this size, but on the recipe I go by pounds. So you can just follow the poundage and know that's what you need. Now for this, I am gonna cut out the core, just so we don't have to worry about it getting in there. I'm gonna be honest, I eat the core. You should try it. It's very tender and sweet. It's really just like a nice vegetable to be able to dip in things. So what I'm gonna do is just make a nice slice on this. Now, instead of using my mandolin that I sometimes use, or what I call a kraut cutter, for this I want a little bit more of a rough slice, and not to be really fine, but have kind of a nice texture. So do you see how I'm keeping them slightly bigger? I want that because cabbage wilts really quickly. So when we put this in that skillet and let it really saute, it doesn't take long to start breaking down. So if you keep it a little bit more of a nice size to it, it will cook a little bit better, but also keep the texture better. So I have all the cabbage pretty much chopped up that we're gonna use. I'm gonna grab some thyme. This really thyme is usually in sausage as the herb, so it works really well with this dish. So we're gonna add a couple sprigs of thyme to the onion and sausage, which you can see is really working well. And what I wanna do is add a few other things. So we're gonna add some red pepper flakes. Now, if you don't want the spice, or you feel like your sausage is spicy, you can leave it out. I like a lot of spice, so I add in some red pepper. Always some black pepper too, just for some more seasoning. A little bit of salt. Sausage does have salt, so you wanna moderately salt, because we're also gonna add some Worcestershire, which has some nice salt too. But what this does is it adds like a deeper depth of flavor and umami kind of underneath everything. And that Worcestershire just to me really plays it up and adds this wonderful just richness to it. Now we can start adding our cabbage. Of course, it's gonna look like a lot at first, but it's a green and it really does cook down. So I'm gonna take it, lay it right over the top, and slowly it is gonna, actually pretty quickly, honestly, it's gonna start sweating out. And what we're gonna do is just let it wilt down in and we'll stir it all together. Now, this isn't gonna be completely finished yet because at the end, there's a couple things I wanna add just to brighten it up, balance the flavors, but we're really gonna let this cook right now. This to me, can you see how easy of weeknight meal this is? And you might be thinking, seriously, it's cabbage. My family's not gonna go for cabbage. Try it. Try it with the sausage, bring this all together, and I think you'll be shocked how people love it. So as you can see, I had the lid on because that helps it really cook down and begin to sweat, and look at this. So this cabbage was mounded on, but look now how it's really wilting. This is exactly what you want. And see how you're starting to see that sausage come in as I stir it. So at first it will seem like a lot of cabbage. Put a lid on it, that really helps draw that moisture out of it. And now I want to finish it with the lid off so we can cook off some of that excess moisture. And this is when you start really smelling that sausage and getting all that flavor. So to balance everything out and I think really just finish off that flavor, I have a little bit of apple cider vinegar, which cabbage vinegar, it really does work well. It really just gives it a oomph. And then a little bit of brown sugar. We're talking a couple teaspoons. And what this is doing is just going to balance all those flavors out and just work with that vinegar to have this just slight sweet sour effect. It's not like sauerkraut, so don't worry about that, but it really does with the sausage add kind of this effect that makes it all marry together better. But what I want to do now is just have the heat on a little bit higher, let some of this excess moisture cook off, and then I'm going to keep it this nice rich green color. The thing with cabbage is you can cook it as long as you want and eventually it will just be nothing. So I like to keep it with a slight texture. And this to me is that perfect marriage. Now, if you see those thyme pieces, just pull them out. They did their work. They did all the good deeds they wanted to do. So now I'm just taking a little bit of parsley. I think something fresh at the end like parsley. And again, if you get it during the summer when it is growing and in season, the flavor on parsley, it's not like that stuff that you just get at a restaurant on a plate. Do you remember that in the 80s and 90s when you'd get like a piece of parsley on your plate? Like, what do you do with that? My grandma would eat it. I never liked it. But anyway, I think fresh on just finishing off the dish, it's a nice way to have a fresh flavor after something has cooked for a while. That's exactly what we're gonna do here, is just put on a little bit. It has a nice green color, and then you can kind of finish it off, but now it's ready to eat. And so this is a great meal for a weeknight because it goes together quickly, has a lot of flavor with that sausage, but you can also leave the sausage out if you wanna make it vegetarian. But look at the beauty of this. Serve it with some great bread. This is to me one of my just favorite things to have. And it's a really comforting dish too, and that's what I like about it. You get all that sausage, you get the flavor of the onion. Until I tasted it, I couldn't even mention that little bit of brown sugar with that apple cider vinegar. Those flavors are so working in tandem to create this amazing effect that gives you just a hint of sweetness, but also brings out the flavor of the cabbage and that sausage, because sausage works really well with a hint of sweetness too. This is a great dish. This is a great way to have something that maybe at first you think your family is gonna love, but will bring them together because it has so much flavor and it has so much goodness in it. You're using something so economical, or maybe from the garden, farmer's market, CSA, whatever you have, and that's cabbage. You don't have to make a cold salad. You can make a really great hearty meal with it. And it's such a quick way to do it. Throw in, like I said, some bread or something else, and you're really done. That's what's great about this. It's great for leftovers too. I love it hot or cold. So what do I hope you do with this? I hope you make this. And I also hope you share this video around, because when you share these videos, it's a way for someone else to also say, hey, I can make that too. Because if I can make it here in Iowa, believe me, you can make it anywhere. It's delicious, it's easy, affordable, and easy to find ingredients. So check my website, wiseguy.com, for this recipe and all my other recipes. And until next time, make some food and bring people together. That's the point.